Hey there, it is Poetry News for April. This month is National Poetry Month. Ever since 1996, the Academy of American Poets has put on National Poetry Month. It's a month to celebrate poetry, to raise awareness about poetry. I think it's cool that there's an American Poetry Month, though as Poetry Magazine editorial said this month in Poetry Magazine, it almost gives people an excuse to not care about poetry for the rest of the year, but I like it. I'm glad it's happening. But I know what you're here for. You want to hear about the biggest poetry news of April, which is the Tortured Poets Department, Taylor Swift's new album. Now, this album is getting some really rave reviews. I think Rolling Stone gave it 4 stars. Pace Magazine, though, really laid into it. They said, how dare Taylor Swift call herself a tortured poet? You know, she's one of the richest women in the world. She's very privileged. She's not tortured. This is ridiculous. I want to kind of push back against this, though. I'm no music critic. I'm just a literary scholar and a Taylor Swift fan. I like Midnights better than Tortured Poetry Department. Sue me. But Tortured Poets Department is a tongue-in-cheek title. How do we know this? Let's look at the lyrics. You left your typewriter at my apartment, straight from the Tortured Poets Department. Later on in the song, she says, you're not Dylan Thomas. I'm not Patti Smith. This isn't the Chelsea Hotel. We're modern idiots. She's making fun of this guy. You know, you can speculate about who it is. I think some people have said it's supposed to be the lead singer of the 1975s that she dated for like a month. Whatever. I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is that we read lyrics right. She's making fun of this guy for thinking of himself as a tortured poet and having the affectation of using a typewriter. And she clarifies, you're not Dylan Thomas, famous, actually tortured Welsh poet from the 20th century. We can make a whole video about him later. But I just wanted to say, I don't think Pace Magazine is reading that Tortured Poets Department phrase right. It's tongue-in-cheek. Of course, we're going to now associate tortured poetry with Taylor Swift. Can she have her cake and eat it too? Let's let her. She's Taylor Swift. Now, third, and I think right up there with the importance of Taylor Swift in the poetry news, is that we had a total eclipse in America this April. And I've been wanting to bring this up for a couple weeks. Total eclipse is a great phrase from a John Milton poem, and you might not know it. And so I wanted to remind us that whenever there's a total eclipse or eclipse of any time, it's time to think about John Milton. Now, total eclipse, John Milton, what's going on here? Well, in Samson Agonistes, which is John Milton's late play about the prophet Samson, there's an old blind character of Samson. He's in chains. He's been blinded by his enemies, the Philistines. And he gives this long speech about being blind. And in that speech, there are these lines. Oh, dark, 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 amid the blaze of noon, irrevocably dark, total eclipse. These are 2 lines of iambic pentameter that show something kind of cool, other than just they sound really cool and have the phrase total eclipse in them. Oh, dark, 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 amid the blaze of noon is mostly a line of iambic pentameter, but in the second foot, the third and fourth syllables, we have not an iambic pattern, which would be a unstressed, stressed, but a stressed pattern. This is called a spondaic foot or a spondy. So instead of da 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 da, it's da 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 da. Oh, dark, dark, dark amid the blaze of noon. So this spondy is being substituted for an iamb, and it's emphasizing, by replacing an unstressed syllable with a stressed syllable, the darkness. Oh, dark, dark, dark. In case you didn't get it, it's real dark. It's like a total eclipse. Now, irrevocably dark total eclipse, the second line, is doing another substitution. Total eclipse is the last 4 syllables, and we would expect it in a line of iambic pentameter to be da-da-da-da, the last 2 feet, iambic feet. But instead it's da-da-da-da. It's total eclipse. Now, it's not like Milton forgot that total has a stressed first syllable and unstressed second syllable and messed up. He intentionally put a trochaic foot, a stressed, unstressed, instead of an iambic foot, an unstressed, stressed, in order to further emphasize the totality and the kind of uncommon totality of the darkness of his blindness. Oh, dark, dark, dark amidst the blaze of noon, irrevocably dark, total eclipse. It's a great phrase. It's a great 2 lines to remember when we're thinking about eclipses. All right, final poetry news moment. The poetry release I'm most excited about for the month of April is the new book by Jane Clark Sharl, which is called Pawns. It's a collection of poems. It's put out by the Poemo Poetry series that Cascade Books puts out. Now, Jane Clark Sharl is a relatively new poet. You probably haven't heard of her. She put out a really interesting play last year called, I'm going to butcher this title, Sonnet le Martine, which is a play that kind of is an imaginary dialogue in verse. It's a crazy ambitious play, very fun. But her new book, Pawns, is out this month. I'm looking forward to reading it. I haven't read it yet. Check it out if you want. All right. That's poetry news for April. We'll see you again in May.